bringing the Touch Arcade stream online, so it should be broadcasting.
3, 2,
In theory.
1.
Racist.
I didn't get a push for it.
Let me. Well, I think it has to I don't know, do whatever magic it does.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
So I just updated the story, and then I'm gonna send out the tweet. Okay.
We're streaming the TouchArcade Show live
from Upcrush. Blah 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 blah. Alright, where's my window? Stuff. Okay, there we go. That situated. Got this situated.
So many situations being situated right now.
So much situation happening right now. It's not even funny. All right, you guys ready to get started?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Don't sound so excited.
Let's do it. Hype. Major hype.
Shut up. Hey guys, what's up? You're listening to the Touch Arcade Show. This is episode number 218. Streaming live on Mobcrush once again, and archives up on YouTube, or I guess just listening to the normal MP3 is cool too. Mike and Jared, as usual.
Woo.
Yellow.
Kicking things off this week. Man, I got stung by a bee.
Your focus is lacking right now, huh?
It's bad. Well, because I was outside screwing around, and I don't know if it's a bee or a wasp, or those kind of bugs that look like a bee but they live in the ground. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe it's a Midwestern thing. I don't know, but we have these bees that live in these little holes.
Okay.
That when you disturb their hole, they come out and they're all angry at you.
I think most creatures, when you disturb their hole, they will come after.
So I had one that got stuck kind of in the crook of my shoe, and then kind of in my sock and stuff like that, which is kind of went ham, just biting the shit out of me.
That sucks.
And then my ankle started swelling up a little bit, so I took a bunch of antihistamines because I was kind of freaking out. And so I'm really sleepy now.
That's a good way to start the podcast.
Probably,
So we'll find out live on Mobcrush if I am allergic to bees and die.
I'm sure you have time.
Hopefully,
we got about an hour or so.
We got about an hour to record
podcast.
this. So yeah,
make it a good last podcast.
Hopefully, yeah. So I guess if you just hear me fall over and start drooling on myself, that's what happened. So we have 2 podcast reviews this week. 1 1-star and 1 5-star. Which would you like to hear first?
Let's go with the 1-star. Let's start it off right.
Start off right.
With a negative.
All right. So this is from Biff Superman in the USA. Posted August 12th, 2015. He says, so the main guy sounds exactly like this guy I shared an office with. He doesn't like swearing, so I bet he's a hardcore Christian too. Then there's your sidekick guy, who I imagine is big and probably wears trendy glasses. The sidekick guy always reiterates the same examples of their discussion topics at least 4 times. We get your point, dude. Then there's also the mascot, who made a couple iPhone games, but some other guy actually made them, so I'm not sure what his part really is. I just listen to hear the latest gossip. Like eating boogers, it's gross, and don't let anybody catch you doing it. What do you think of that? I think he's talking about you, Mike. Oh my god, did you guys drop out of fucking Skype?
No, we're just quiet.
I
think Jared might have.
I'm here. I dropped off and I reconnected, and now you guys are cutting in and out.
Oh, Jesus.
Skype is
Or maybe
the worst.
Eli is just hallucinating from his bee sting, and he can't hear us.
I think that you should call your ISP, Jared.
Considering you had say what? Please give me better internet, please.
Yeah, even I've had weird internet issues all week. So,
how Jared much wasn't around to reiterate what you were saying.
This is the iTunes review coming true.
Did I mention that I've made some iPhone games before?
All right, Jared, how much of the email or the review did you hear?
Something about eating boogers, and that's about it.
Oh, that was the
That's pretty much what it was.
That's pretty much the end of it. All right.
In summary.
So this is gonna be fun to edit on the other side.
So I'll just say thanks a lot for the review.
All right. Well, here I'm gonna split the recording and then ask what you think of that. So this is people on Mob Crush getting a raw feed. All right, hang on. So yeah, what do you guys think of that? Seems pretty accurate.
Pretty much exactly.
Thank you for the review, the kind review. I heard it all.
Biff Superman.
Biff? Is it Biff Superman?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
That's an awesome name.
And then we got a 5-star review in the Netherlands by Selici. Oh my God, why does my Safari want to close? What's happening here? He says, "Great podcast about iOS games and the world around it. Very sober, very relaxed, easy to listen to, and generally well produced. I always end up installing at least one app while listening to an episode. Great for app discovery or for information about apps you otherwise would have missed or would not have installed yourself." So,
Generally well produced.
Is being not today. Is being a sober podcast, is that like a compliment, or is that, should we be drinking more on our podcast?
I don't know.
Like, are we too clear of what we're saying, or do we need? I don't know. Do we be more angry, or what's going on here?
I don't know.
Maybe we sober him up as he's listening.
That's the guy that made Phoenix HD, isn't it?
Oh, we got an email from him. I think he might be the other half of their team, but we got an email from him too.
An email and a review?
Ooh. All right, so first email of the week. We got several. So this is from Oscar. He says, "Hey, TA, your podcast is always a solid source of info about the mobile industry and such. And I've always appreciated your insights on certain games. I always notice when the topic of freemium comes up." God, why is my Safari doing? I don't, it like keeps wanting to close the window. All right. Where was I?
When the topic of freemium
All right,
comes
so
up.
I always notice when the topic of freemium comes up, and it seems to a point you are always defending on the side of the games, admiring the ones that are fun, commending some for fair in-app purchase systems, and applauding those that have become popular because of it. Yet I've never heard you mention Clash of Clans. That one game has wildly exceeded those criteria. I know that you don't usually dabble in the popular titles, but this is one game I'd really appreciate hearing your opinions on. So he says, "How fair is monetization compared to the industry today? How ethical do you think Supercell is just from looking at its titles? What is your opinion of Supercell since they're not a typical started from the bottom company? And do you think Clash of Clans appeals to both a hardcore player base and a casual player base?" He says those are the questions I could recall that are usually discussed in the podcast. I know it's a lot, but I'm hoping you guys can get a healthy discussion going on about this deserving topic.
Well, I think it's kind of hard to say because none of us really play Clash of Clans. And
yeah, that was kind of my problem.
That was like 2 years ago when you were first talking about Clash of Clans, I think.
That's,
yeah, and I've tried. Like every time a big update or something will come out, I've like tried to get into it and I can't. I think I've just decided it's not for me. But from what I understand from hearing other people that do play it talk about it and stuff like that is that all the stuff he says is really true, and that it's a really good free to play system, and it's kind of like one of those games that appeals to a wide variety of people, the casual to the hardcore or whatever. And I don't know, it seems like I think we just don't use it as an example as much because none of us really play it.
Yeah, my problem with Clash of Clans specifically is like, so when it first came out, I downloaded it and everything and played through the tutorial, and then played another few hours on top of that, even. And so I got deep enough into the game that I was like far past the tutorial section and was kind of like on the harder parts of the game, I guess. And then I just put it down and forgot about it. And then when Clash of Clans started to get really, really big, I was like, oh, well, I should probably like start playing this game again. Because it's kind of seems like it's turned into kind of a big deal. So, but the problem is I was, my progress was where I stopped, which was, like a week or two into, I guess, the game or whatever. So I have no idea what I'm doing, no idea what my buildings do, no idea what my units do. like I've progressed to a point where like I can't win the battles because I don't like remember the strategy of what I'm supposed to be doing and what my guys are supposed to be building and all that stuff. So so I emailed Supercell about this and I was like, hey, can you I don't mean to be a pest or whatever, can you just reset my progress and so I can just start over? Like I don't know if I ever bought anything, but I don't care about it. Just start me out from zero because I want to like play this game and be able to write intelligently about it and
full
things like
experience.
that. Yeah. So their response was like, well, no, we can't delete anything, but you can always just register a new Game Center ID. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, first of all, I have a cool Game Center ID. My Game Center ID is just Eli because I registered like day 0.
Yeah.
Second of all, I've got all sorts of stuff in my Game Center. Like, it would mess up so much to just be like, all right, well, I'm switching Game Center. Because so many of those games are all kind of tied in one way or another with Game Center. So it wasn't really an option. I guess just kind of got frustrated and quit playing it. But when Boom Beach came out, which I guess is pretty similar, right? I mean, like I said, I haven't played Clash of Clans enough to really be able to have intelligent conversations on the nuances, the difference between the two. But it seems pretty similar. And I like it a lot, but I kind of hit a point where my timers were getting kind of long to rebuild my dudes. And I don't know, like it was a fun game, but it hit that inevitable point with all free-to-play games where it's like my session length grew to a point that it wasn't really something I could just do quickly in my spare time anymore.
Like restocking 200 floors in Tiny Tower.
Yeah. Which it's kind of interesting because for a lot of free-to-play games, that's kind of like my stopping point, I guess.
Yeah.
And like you could argue that
made it to the end.
Yeah. I mean, like you could argue in Boom Beach that like like, oh well, you don't need to play a full half-hour session and like exhaust all your dudes and stuff like that, but it always kind of bothers me because it feels like you're wasting your time if you don't get to the point where you're like, all right, I'm queuing up all my timers now and they'll be done in like 8 hours and I can do it again. Like, does that make sense?
If you miss a timer, then you're like, oh crap, I could have been upgrading this whole time.
Hey, it's stuff like that.
My life is ruined.
I don't know. It kind of maybe it's the latent power gamer in me, I guess, that is just bothered by that kind of thing. So
well, yeah, you're used to in I guess non free to play or even just old school games. You want to max out as much as you can, or just upgrade or advance as much as you can. But this is based on time now. All of a sudden, instead of doing something, which is fine when you want to check in every so often and do 5 or 10 minutes of stuff. I guess then it becomes 15 to 20 minutes of stuff.
Yeah, and then it kind of grows
work.
from there.
You're like, what am I doing? Spending a half hour trying to upgrade everything or tap on everything.
Which I don't know. I mean, it's at the same time though. I played Boom Beach for I don't know, probably a couple months, maybe daily, and I think I bought like 1 pack of gems just to kind of see how much of a boost they got me, and it wasn't really much. So I think that was like the only thing I ever bought. But yeah, it's a really fun game. I don't know. I kind of got to the point where it was topping out, and I don't know. Like the problem is I have too much stuff to play. So it's like it's kind of weird, like being in the situation that like Jared and I are, because it's like really hard to, like for instance, like this week, like a couple dozen games I want to check out came out, and it's like I should probably spend the 45-minute session time of Boom Beach checking out those games instead of all that stuff. So I don't know, but I mean, I think their monetization in those games is really fair because like you really don't get much for your money. So if you want to like really boost ahead, and this is going off Boom Beach, and I assume the balance in Clash of Clans is very similar because it's basically a very similar game. So if you want to get ahead, you need to spend a ton of money, at which point it's like, all right, dude, well, you spent a couple $100 on this game, sure, like whatever, it's fine. Like it doesn't really offend me.
I think part of the reason is that it's balanced really well in that it'll match you up with people that aren't overpowered or underpowered or whatever. So you can spend all the money in the world and get to a certain level, but then you're just going to play people of that level.
That's what's never made sense to me about the way that these games are balanced, because they monetize so well. I mean, Clash of Clans obviously makes a shitload of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right in that it has a matchmaking system. So if I, just get a wild hair up my ass and decide, all right, I'm going to spend $500 on Boom Beach right now,
Yeah.
and went through and upgraded all my dudes and everything else, like it almost seems like that's kind of a disservice to yourself as a player, because what's going to happen is you're
Yeah.
getting matched against people that have all that stuff, and like you don't even
Yeah.
really know how to use it. Like suddenly you have like 8 different units and all these other like toys and stuff like that you can use when you fight, but you've only used them once, so you're going to be at a severe disadvantage against people that unlock those things gradually and stuff
And
like
you've
that.
missed out on the wonderful journey of watching all the upgrades over the years
Yeah.
just build up.
I imagine, I like to imagine, just because this is sort of how I operate, is that you know, every so often you get like the urge, like, oh, I'm like really close to this next threshold of like leveling up or something like that, and if I spend like $2 on a coin pack, I can do it right now instead of waiting a day or something like that. It's like that every once in a while you get to that certain point where you're just really close to something, and then you want to bump yourself over the edge, and so you throw a couple bucks at it here and there. That's how I imagine most of the monetization goes. But then a lot of the data and stuff is like the whales or whatever,
Yeah.
which a game like that, I don't think a whale really does anything, does it? um Unless there's maybe cooldown timers and they can play more because they're refreshing their timers faster than everyone else because they're buying all the packs of stuff or whatever. But as far as like just buying and upgrading stuff, I don't think spending a lot of money is going to do any good.
No. Yeah.
You're better off learning the slow game and learning as you go.
Yeah, and a lot of people like to call these kind of games play to win, but I mean, if the matchmaking is working, like it shouldn't matter if you open the game and threw $1,000 into it, or you played over the course of a year. Like you should have the same things. Like
Right.
that's why people play these games, because they're fairly balanced like that. So I don't know. And on the topic of whales, I kind of was thinking about this weekend. Like I'm curious what you guys think about this. So, and whenever, and I guess we're still kind of like riding on the waves of the general malcontents feelings following Angry Birds 2. So it seems like a hot topic of just discussing freemium in a general sense lately. But it seems like the people that really don't like these kind of games, and Clash of Clans is kind of included in this because it gets branded as like pay to win or whatever, are always kind of throwing out this example of the whales of these games are like the just confused moms that just don't know any better and
Yeah.
are just being taken advantage of by these companies, and they're just having their savings accounts drained. And I mean, you know what I'm talking about though, like the examples these people that are staunchly against anything to do with free to play come up with. And I mean, the more I think about it, the more I just don't know if that person that is the classic example of the abusive free to play sucker, I guess, like really exists in any meaningful number of like statistical relevance. Because I'm sure with when you have a game like Angry Birds 2, I think they just announced that it crossed 30 million downloads or whatever. When you have 30 million downloads and when you look at some of the more popular free to play games that have crossed like the hundreds of millions of downloads and stuff like that, like at that point you're going to have one or two people that do fit that description, like just out of just the odds of it working, right?
Right.
But like here's the thing, I feel like the people that these rants are like sticking up for in a weird way, I don't know, like, so I just think that the whales in this case, like especially in like the Clash of Clans universe and stuff like that, are people that have more money than you could even really imagine. They're just very wealthy people that look at this as like an entertainment thing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I would say the majority, yeah. Or, I think it's disingenuous to assume that everybody that's spending money on a free to play game is just so dumb and out of it that they're doing it blindly and not realizing, they're being taken advantage of or whatever. Yeah, I think that's bullshit. I think people know what they're doing when they spend money on a game, and it's normally because it's something they want to because they like the game.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I guess I was looking at this from, I was trying to think of examples of people that I've known or have met or anything like that that kind of fit in line with the way that people are often characterized when you have these kind of weird free to play ethics arguments sort of thing. Like this guy's kind of talking about like how ethical their free to play stuff is. Like I don't know, like the people that I know that are wealthy are just like stupidly impulsive with the things that they buy, and are often very expensive. Because when you have that kind of bankroll, it's like not a big deal for you to just, for instance, go out and buy like a 4-wheeler just for fun, stuff like that. So like, how I don't think it's that different to drop a ton of money on a free to play game for someone like that. Like on the other side of the coin, though, like the like gambling addict kind of person that people are always saying is going to fall prey to stuff like this. Like those kind of people, at least the ones that I know in my life that are just generally poor with their finances and stuff like that, that would fall prey to stuff like that, just don't have the spending power to even do that if they wanted to, Like, does that make sense?
If anything, they wouldn't be wasting money. They'd just be neglecting their families, and that would be the real tragedy.
I don't know what point I'm getting at here. I just kind of I was thinking about like trying to write something up about this, but then I was like, what the fuck's the point? Like anyone that wants to make these crazy arguments isn't going to listen to me anyway, so whatever.
Well, I don't think Jared Nelson's going to be listening to you.
God, Jared, stupid internet connection. So I don't know. I mean, like, don't you like, I guess if you look at like the indie developers that have gotten really wealthy, and you like follow their Twitter and stuff like that, and the kind of shit that they buy, like that kind of person seems like they would just spend, a lot of money on a free to play game or something like that.
Anytime you see anything about their cars or their like any sort of remodeling done, it's just like, I don't think they'd care about spending a bit of money in something of anything. Games, cheese, whatever.
Yeah. So
okay, repeat everything you just said.
You didn't miss anything good.
Just kidding.
It's pretty much the same stuff.
So as far as how ethical you think Supercell is, like I mean they're fine. I don't know. They make free to play games, like stuff like Heyday is like my girlfriend has been playing that for like 2+ years now. Right. And has spent like $6 maybe.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess as a question of whether or not their free to play model is ethical, like if you can get years of entertainment out of something for like legit less than I spent on my lunch today, that seems pretty awesome. So
I guess it all depends on perspective.
Yeah. And as far as like our opinion of Supercell, I don't know, they seem cool. Like they've always been cool to us, so I got no complaints.
No beef.
And I don't. Do you guys think Clash of Clans appeals to a hardcore and casual player base? I kind of think it's like a really hardcore game. Particularly on the higher levels.
Yeah, the higher level. I actually think it's both, because I think it's like, if you're getting matched to your own level, then you can kind of play it like a casual level and never really, and still have fun. You know what I mean? And still play it long term and stuff like that, knowing you'll never reach those upper echelons of like the crazy every minute of the day players or whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I've heard. I guess one other thing on Clash of Clans being hardcore, I've heard a lot of people, and this was kind of back when Clash of Clans was super hot, and we were like trying to come up with like guide content, things like that, and just kind of reading around the internet of people talking about Clash of Clans, and what kind of surprised me was that the amount of old school kind of hardcore MMORPG players that are now super into Clash of Clans. Because like I guess when you imagine like classic World of Warcraft, like pre-expansion raiding kind of stuff, like the dedication that you needed to have to do well in that, I guess is pretty similar to what you need to commit yourself to if you're gonna like be on the competitive edge of Clash of Clans, which is really pretty crazy when you think about it, because so many people like to knock games like Clash of Clans, like, a free-to-play mobile baby game. When you have people that are actually into it that are like, no, like this is scratching the same itch as like super old school hardcore World of Warcraft raiding did for me.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
So hopefully those answered your questions. I don't know. I guess let's see, which do we want to do next? So I'm just skimming this right now. The designer of or co-founder and designer Al from Fury Games sent us an email. So we should talk about Phoenix HD, which that's
just got a big update, didn't it?
yeah, it did. So we'll probably hit on that in the news. So thanks for the email. I guess like no real questions or anything like that. I probably should have read this beforehand. But yeah, Phoenix and Phoenix HD on our forums have just like a ridiculous amount of traction. It's kind of shocking, really, the number of people that are posting about that game still. I don't know.
I was heavy into it for a long time, because it's just awesome that it's like a randomly generated shooter. It felt like the sort of game that it never really got old.
Yeah.
And just like any game, like it sits in a folder, and I haven't played it in a while.
The folder.
But I need to.
It's kind of my problem with games like this is I download them, I like them, and then they go in the good games folder. But the problem is the good games folder has like, yeah, it's like a black hole of amazing content.
It sucks, right? But yeah, Phoenix has been really interesting because it's evolved a lot over the years, and it's getting a sequel pretty soon too. So
yeah. So another email. This is from Aaron. He says, "Hey guys, really enjoy the show, and I use the app all the time to keep track of what's happening in the world of iOS gaming." He has 2 questions we can answer. So first one is, when the heck are you going to update the TouchArcade app? We are on the cusp of iOS 9, and you guys haven't updated it in almost 2 years. It's like Mike Mead's iPhone or something. It's time for a new coat of paint.
It's true.
So the problem with the app is Apple has basically updated the app approval guidelines to make it so the TouchArcade app can't really exist anymore. Like that, we've submitted minor updates that have had rejection issues because of like the no. Basically, you can't have an app that looks like the App Store, and you can't have an app that promotes apps, which sucks for our uses. Doesn't make any sense. Well, it's crazy because so the reason that these 2 rules originally came into place was because remember, and this was in like what 2012, 2013 maybe, when those various free app a day apps, not necessarily free app a day, but like those kind of similar things. Like I guess the big one was App Gratis, right? Does that sound familiar?
I think so.
So these outfits essentially, what they did was they had an app that you as a developer could, and I don't know all the ins and outs of all the details and stuff like that, but I've heard that the way they worked is like one of 2 ways. The first of which being that you could just pay them X dollars to promote your app, and you get featured as like the free app or whatever, and they send out a huge push alert, and you get had a massive reach and stuff like that, and your app would go shooting up the charts and all this stuff. Or number 2, they would do some kind of like revenue share with you for I guess like 90 days or something like that after the fact. So like they promote your app for free, but then they got like, I don't know, X% of your overall downloads once you set it back to paid for the next Y months or whatever. I don't really remember how it worked. But so what was interesting is that Apple kind of put this rule into place and yanked those apps off the App Store because they were manipulating the charts, right? But then at the same time in 2015, like the user acquisition world is so massive because you can basically like buy your position on the chart now.
Right.
Which seems really weird.
Well, it's frustrating because I can sort of see where they're coming from, banning those sorts of services and stuff like that, and anything that might game the App Store. But then exactly what you're saying, like the user acquisition is almost the same thing, if not worse. And then an app like us, which is essentially just a portal into our website content, you can't pay to be featured on TouchArcade, and there's no way you can like pay to get a better placement in the app or anything.
I mean, we do have ads in the app, but they're they're
right.
Obviously advertisements. It's not like
right. So, but you know what I mean, like our hot games list and stuff like that, which I think is one of the standout features of our app, is an algorithm that's based on a bunch of different things. You know what I mean? But there's no way you could be like, hey, let me get that #1 spot in the hot games list, you know? And so I feel like it really sucks for us because we spent a lot of time and money making like a really nice portal into our website content that was very well received. People really liked our app and stuff like that. And so it seems like pretty obvious to me that it's not like some sort of scammy thing or some sort of competing app store. If anything,
Yeah.
it's facilitating people buying things from the app store. So it just seems weird that they would have a problem with that, but then let things like user acquisition go unabated.
I mean, the problem is that, and this is what I imagine is very difficult for Apple to deal with. Is like, so, you know, they pull app gratis off the app store and like, yeah, you guys can't have anything in there that's promoting apps. And then they're like, well, what about the Touch Arcade app? Like, it's doing the same thing.
Right.
So at some point they have to like draw the line somewhere, and it just kind of sucks that we're on the opposite side of it, because like really at the end of the day, like app gratis too, like all they were doing was promoting stuff on the app store. You know, like they were just driving downloads and, you know, stuff like that. So I don't know. It's all kind of a unfortunate situation of perspective or whatever. So I guess the long story short, app is probably not going to get updated unless iOS 9 totally breaks it, at which point we might have to reevaluate what to do.
And if it does break it, that doesn't mean we will try and fix it. It means we'll reevaluate it.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem.
It's expensive to update the app and stuff like that. And if you're going to spend money just to have it get rejected anyway, that's not very smart. So.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking
Mike Mead will be the only one to be able to use it when everyone upgrades to iOS 9 and I'm still on 7.
That's true. You and your iPhone 4. Enjoy
much.
the app.
Wow. But yeah, so I don't know. I wish the situation was different, but like we talked to the original developers of the app, and I don't remember what their original, like their update estimate was. But I mean, the problem is it was developed for iOS 7.
Right.
You know, and like lots of things changed in iOS 8. So it wouldn't be like, oh, let me just go in here and fiddle with this for 10 minutes. All right, cool. Here you go. Done. They would need to rebuild like a considerable amount of it for it to work on, you know, like the 6 and the 6 Plus and stuff like that. And then like iOS 9 moving forward and stuff like that. So you're talking like tens of thousands of dollars for the time that's going to take. And like, man, it would just, that would be the biggest kick in the nuts imaginable if it was like, all right, you know, finally rationalize like spending the money, like to do all the work and stuff like that, submit to Apple, and they're like, nope, sorry.
Yeah.
Like that would be like fucking catastrophic. So yeah. Anyway, sorry I didn't have a better answer for that, but I don't know.
It's frustrating though, because we've gone over this story a lot of times, and it seems like every other day there's somebody new that's saying, I don't understand why you haven't updated your app. And taking it as like you guys just don't care or you're lazy or something like that. And it's like, no, trust us. We'd love to be able to update our app. I mean, obviously it would make sense. We talk about apps. We should have the best, most up-to-date app there is. We just are kind of, our hands are sort of tied right now. So. Yeah.
The worst part is like it's an awesome app too. Like aside from it getting kind of janky over the years with like, you know, not really supporting the new iPhones too well, like no one has any complaints about it. It's like, wow, this is super useful. Like I'm still using it even though I've deleted all the stuff that isn't optimized for my 6 Plus or whatever.
Right.
Which, I mean, I feel like that's a pretty strong endorsement. So anyway, question number 2, have you guys ever thought of selling TouchArcade merchandise? I'm actually kind of in the process of putting together a Teespring thing. I'm just kind of getting I need to find a Pantone color book to make sure that these colors look right, because I don't have a calibrated monitor. Printing stuff is very confusing.
We learned this doing wedding invitations.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Ordering samples. It's amazing how different they can look from your computer screen to actual real life.
That was the thing, because I was like, oh well, this will be really easy. Like I'll just, you know, convert this into a vector file and send it on over and all that stuff. And they like email me back. They're like, this doesn't look anything like your website. And I was like, wait, what? So got to figure out the colors and all that fun stuff, which is kind of annoying, but we'll get there. It's just been kind of backburnered because I'm busy with other stuff. But what's going to be cool about Teespring when it launches is that you just go up, like, I don't know what the t-shirt, you know, normal t-shirt price or whatever, but like you have to hit like, you know, X amount of shirts before they print them. But then after that, you know, you just can keep ordering them and they'll just send them out and stuff. So it should be a pretty good thing once it gets going. So
Word.
stay tuned for that. I don't know when I'm gonna have that all done, but hopefully soon. So why don't we're running kind of long on the first segment. Why don't we take a quick break and get a word from our sponsors and come back with another couple of emails, and then we'll get in some games and news chat, stuff like that.
Okie dokie.
Sounds good. All right, so Mob Crush people and all that fun stuff. I actually forgot to say at the beginning of the show who was sponsors. I'm sorry for that. But this week's sponsor is Strange Flavor. That's flavor spelled O-U-R, the Canadian
weird way,
English way, for the game Tiny Track. So we'll see if I can do the commercial in one take live here on the TouchArcade Show. So here we go. Do you like trains? Then you'll love Tiny Tracks. Solve shunting puzzles to collect locomotives and wagons in beautiful 3D. Then run them in your own personal train sets. Complete the puzzles quickly and unlock extra scenery and layouts. Written by the Apple Design Award-winning developer Strange Flavor, Tiny Tracks is universal and is on the App Store now for just $2.99. Find out more at strangeflavor.com. That's flavor spelled Flavor.com. So I added that last part for...
I felt like there was a lack of emphasis on the Z.
Tracks.
Tiny Tracks. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to, it's on the App Store now. If you want to look for it, it's Tiny, T-I-N-Y, and then Tracks, T-R-A-C-K-Z.
Yeah, did we post about that it was out? We did, right?
Yes,
we did.
I believe so.
Tracks.
There was a post in queue. I think it went up. All right, let me get these last two emails going. All right, so we'll start on the next. Unless anyone has to pee or anything.
Tracks.
Zzz.
Uh-oh.
Zzz.
Eli's turning into a bee.
Yeah. Oh, God. I'm very tired. That was not a good idea. Anyway, all right, cool. I'll bring us into the next half. Hey, guys. We're back. Let's see. We have another email here. This one is from David. He says, "Hello, gentlemen. I'm writing because I feel I was lied to, and I'm wondering if any of you remember this, or maybe I just made it up. When the iPhone 6 Plus was announced, I swear I remember hearing that because of the larger size, certain games and apps that were previously iPad only would now work for the 6 Plus. I remember hearing that basically the Plus would inhabit the middle ground between the iPhone and iPad. However, after buying an iPhone 6 Plus, I find that all the same app restrictions are still there. Anything that is designated as iPad only is still iPad only. Am I just confused, or was there a marketing point mentioned as I remembered it? Does anyone else remember Apple claiming that the 6 Plus would be able to run previously iPad-only games and apps? He says he's a big fan of the podcast and website. Thanks for hours of entertainment and knowledge. And please do everything in your power to get the devs of FTL to make an iPhone port."
No, I never. That was never said.
I think what he's thinking of is remember when they first announced the 6 Plus, they kind of teased at the idea that there would be like a lot of weird kind of middle ground features that they were going to use the extra screen real estate for.
Yeah, I think that might be it, because when they were demoing the 6 Plus and stuff like that, they were, hey, you turn it
messages
turn it
looked a little
landscape mode
different
and everything switches just like it was an iPad or whatever. But as far as actual iPad only apps running on it, they've never said anything like that. But I could see how you'd be led to believe something like that when they're talking about all these iPad features.
I think it was yeah, I think it's, looking back on it, it's probably easy to confuse a lot of people saying like, oh, hey, well, this probably means that iPad games are going to be running on the bigger iPhone now.
Right.
With anyone actually really planning on doing that. The problem, as I've heard from developers, is that it's very difficult to like stipulate which devices can run your game.
Yeah.
Like, is there any way you can do it in iTunes Connect now, right, Mike? You just have to.
I don't know what you could. So. I don't know if you can limit certain things. It's hard. It's kind of tough. I know a lot of developers do that and there's always like one device that will have something the same as one of the higher end devices, so you can't like drop out the 4S as easy, or maybe it's a 5S or something like, or the 5, because it still has all the stuff.
They used to do weird things like require the microphone or whatever, and it was
Yeah.
so they would it would exclude the old iPod Touches that didn't have a microphone,
Yeah,
or
and they
something
did
weird like that. But
the same tricks with the front-facing camera too.
right, yeah. But this is like a really long-standing problem that I'm really surprised hasn't been addressed by Apple ever. It really should be way easier to specify exact devices that you want to support with games, and have
Yeah.
it be as simple as like you don't have the right device, you can't even download the game.
Yeah.
Because as it is right now, you have to rely on like putting big words in the top of your description or something and hoping someone reads it. Like, oh my God, the first iPad Mini is not supported, but all the other iPads are. So it's like, I either exclude them all or hope for the best that people that have the wrong device aren't downloading this and rating it poorly or whatever. It seems really silly that Apple doesn't have some sort of system that just lets you checkbox like which devices you support.
Like I can see why that's an issue on Android, like because you would have like 10,000 things you have to check
30,000
off.
boxes. Yeah,
But like there aren't that many iOS devices comparatively.
no,
You know?
and I think it makes sense too because I think the 6 Plus is the kind of size that iPad only apps would work well on it, but not so much the normal 6. So it'd be nice to be able to have that functionality on the larger phone.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's really the number one reason that I know of that you can't is because once you support the 6 Plus, you're supporting every other iPhone too.
Yeah.
And so
Well, yeah, because when your stuff's universal, it's like, all right, it either works on the iPads only or on
Right.
everything,
yeah,
which
and
is
that
not great.
sucks. So I don't know. There should be more granularity there, and that's I feel like has been a problem forever, and I'm really surprised it still is a problem.
Yeah.
Seems like a basic thing.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of a big reason why I stopped using. I mean, my 6 Plus was just kind of like too big to begin with.
Mhm.
After carrying it around for a while, it just kind of got ridiculous. But there, originally, like I kind of wrote that off as like, oh well, it's really big, but it's not really gonna matter because you're gonna want the 6 Plus because of all the extra stuff they're gonna do. Because
Right.
like I bit so hard on that Apple keynote where they were like, oh here's what it looks like, here's what iMessage looks like on the 6 Plus. So you just have your little differences that make it a little bit nicer. And I was like, all right, well this is the phone I want, right?
Yeah.
But that really has not been the case, like at all. Like
Yeah.
it's just like the iPhone 6 but bigger.
Yeah.
At which point it's like, well, I don't really need the iPhone 6 but bigger, So
Get an iPhone 6 and iPad Mini, right?
Yeah.
Cover all the sizes, all the smaller sizes.
Get one of everything.
there you go. And that's what I don't know. I guess going through the years, I have almost one of everything. So
Right.
I don't know. And their last email, I just kind of missed this because he sent it to the podcast and not to my other email. But Tony sent us about writing for us. He says he likes wrestling and has been playing iOS games since 2009, and he's overqualified and very excited. And he's even going to NXT in Brooklyn
Oh,
and
awesome.
SummerSlam.
Ooh.
And he loves TouchArcade. So sorry, I just saw this like when I was piling together all the podcast emails. So I definitely will get in touch. So yeah, that's all the emails this week. Thanks a ton for everything, everyone that sent something in or left an iTunes review. If you want your stuff read on the show, I think it's kind of like neat how this is turning into a thing.
Yeah.
But send it over to podcast@toucharcade.com, or if you just want to leave us an iTunes review with whatever, we'll see that too. So yeah, I guess on to some game discussion. What did you guys play this week?
Played a little bit of Monsters of my Metropolis.
Yeah, what did you think of this?
I'm still to be determined. I think I'm not sure. I like Monsters Ate My Condo more. I know that much. I just haven't decided if I don't like this game or if I'm just taking a while to click or what.
Yeah, so they sent us a build of this really early, and I feel kind of bad because we flaked out on previewing it. But I kind of hit the same point where I was like, this is so different from what I was expecting. I don't even know if I like it.
Right.
Because like I really liked Monsters Ate My Condo.
Yeah.
It was just really good.
I love that game. I still love that game. And so this one I thought like, it's nice that it has like a lot of the same characters, a lot of the same humor, a lot of the same really, really high production values that make games like that. That adds a lot to a game, I think. And yeah, I just don't know if I'm really feeling like the card-based sort of gameplay. It's whereas Monsters Ate My Condo is more of like a real time frantic arcade game sort of thing. So I don't know. I guess it's just not clicking with me.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to spend more time with it. I
That's
think
what I feel too.
what broke my brain about it, like I said, it was just so not what I expected.
Yeah.
That I don't know, like it's like when you grab like a Pepsi thinking it's gonna be Pepsi, but then it's like Orange Crush, and you drink it and you're just like, whoa, what's this? Like that was kind of my take on this game. But I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. They're trying a free to play card battler thing, which is neat. But it seems strange to use IP that was known for kind of like a match 3 puzzle game, right?
That's sort of what I thought, but then again, I don't know. They all those crazy characters in that game have such a interesting like backstories and personalities and stuff like that. Like it's a shame to not use them in other things.
Yeah.
So I don't think they should be faulted for that or anything like that. But I do think if you were just a fan of Monsters Ate My Condos and you were like, oh, awesome, a spin-off or a sequel or whatever this is, you're gonna be like, well, this is so different, not what I was expecting, and that might be a turnoff. Not to say it's a bad game or anything like that. I actually think there might, it might have some interesting mechanics and stuff going on. I just need to spend more time with it and come to grips with it. I just haven't, I don't know, felt compelled to yet. So.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
Maybe we'll revisit this one in like a week.
definitely put it in the revisit pile. I've been playing a shitload of Hearthstone because I'm trying to. So the new card set is scheduled to come out this month at some point. We're kind of towards the end of the month, and it's going to shake everything up.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to, because I know like the current metagame really well. Like I know like everything my deck does. I know like what someone's probably going to be playing. Like I'm reaching a point in the game where it feels like I'm playing Magic again, where I know it well enough that like I know what someone's going to do.
Yeah.
Which is like a really cool feeling. And then it's like, the grand tournament is going to throw just like a massive wrench into all this.
That's good every once in a while, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, it's like it's putting me off from playing other games because it's like I want to get in on all of this before it goes away, and before it changes or
enjoy your god level skill while you can.
And then the other game that I've been playing a lot ever since we got a promo code for it is Pac-Man 256.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why it's not showing up on the purchased list, like most stuff that you claim a promo code on, because I would love to show it on my iPad and stuff like that.
Top secret.
Yeah, I wish I knew that. I wish I knew the rhyme or reason to that, because I know I've redeemed codes for things before that do show up in your purchase list.
Yeah.
And some things don't. And it's really annoying because we share like an iTunes account to be like, hey, I downloaded this thing, I use this code, go ahead and grab it too, and then not be able to.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So the only secret with Pac-Man 256 is its release date. But
which
we can talk about everything else.
We just don't know.
I just don't know. I had no idea. It's like John Cena. You just don't see it. You just don't see it coming.
You can't see the release date.
So Pac-Man
it's
256.
In 2017. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
Oh God. I think what everyone was kind of waiting for. So we've posted a bunch of different things about Pac-Man 256 that is super positive. This game is basically what feels like Pac-Man should be in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not a stupid spin-off. It's not like, Pac-Man but Doodle Jump, or Pac-Man Temple Run, or whatever dumb thing Namco's doing that's like, someone looking at what the current trend in the App Store is and decides,
Pac-Man in it.
let's do that, but with Pac-Man. This is actually a really well done endless Pac-Man game. So you control by swiping which direction you want your dude to go, and plays basically exactly how you would expect. And you're I think we mentioned this before, but you're running from like what's supposed to be the glitch at the end of Pac-Man and stuff. So
right.
What everyone's been curious of is how you're actually going to pay for this game, because Crossy Roads monetization is like notoriously fair, right?
Yeah.
To the point that like people look at that as like, oh, if you're gonna do free to play, you should do a Crossy Road. Just make Crossy Road.
Right.
And so the way that it works in this is shockingly modest for what I was kind of expecting Namco to do.
Okay.
Like I was kind of expecting them to like, take what is a very good game, and I mean, you played at GDC, it's like a really really fun Pac-Man, but
Right.
like really fuck it up with free to play stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you had to guess how this game was, like isn't that almost exactly what you would probably say?
Yeah.
So here's how it works. You have a free mode that you can play as much as you want, anytime. Just totally free. It's separate from the live system and everything else. And that free mode is basically vanilla Pac-Man, but
Okay.
vanilla endless Pac-Man, I guess. So you don't have any of the power-ups in the game. The only power-up that you have is the regular old power pellet. And you can just play Pac-Man as long as you want. You die, you play again, no big deal. Which I thought was like really surprising, because that game mode, like if you don't care about the power-ups and stuff, like fuck it, just play that forever. Who cares?
This is sounding very similar to what Monster Dash ended up doing. So you remember, I think it was like last year or something, they had a big update that made it like a free to play game. It had like a life system and stuff like that. And it wasn't terrible, but people were like mad because their previous game they could play as much as they wanted now
Yeah.
had this life system where they couldn't. And so what they ended up doing was kind of going back and making like I don't remember if they call it arcade mode or classic mode or something, but it's basically like vanilla Monster Dash. You can play as much as you want, there's no energy timer or whatever. And then there's like the regular Monster Dash that has different things that they added with the update that do have timers or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think that's always a good idea. I think always having a mode, it goes back to even the original successful free-to-play game Eliminate, which was like, hey, when your power's on, you are earning XP. When you run out of energy, you can still play as much as you want. There's no restrictions or anything. You're just not earning XP. That's literally it. And you're still playing the same exact game as even other people that are playing with energy are playing, and they don't have any advantage or anything like that. It was just, you got to play, you just weren't leveling up at the time or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was fine with that, because
Yeah,
I was
no, I
still
thought that was
playing.
really
It was
good.
still fun.
So, well, then here's the meat of the free to play part of it. So you have this I'm sure can all be tweaked and tuned on the fly, like real time and stuff like that. So I don't know if what we're playing is super representative of how the final version is going to be. But you have 6 lives, or I guess they call them credits rather. So 6 credits. The credits take 10 minutes each to recharge. So the things you can spend a credit on is continuing your like vanilla Pac-Man game if you want. So you get like 1 continue every time that you have the option of using. Alternatively, you can play like the new game mode, which has all sorts of insane power-ups and stuff like that, and that every time you play that, it burns 1 credit.
Okay.
So it, also in the crazy new game mode, you can spend another credit to continue if you die, just a maximum of 1. And then once you're out of credits, you can either wait, which like all these games typically work, or for $1 you can buy 12 more credits. Alternatively, and this is kind of the super unexpected part of all this, you can pay $8 and just get unlimited credits.
Oh, that's nice.
And then a coin doubler is $5. So so basically what you do is, I think the right way to play this game is you just get unlimited credits, $8, who cares, really fun. And then just play it. I don't know if necessarily you want the coin doubler or not, because what you do with coins is you power up your power-ups. So you can like dump your coins into leveling up, like your Pac-Man laser power-up and
So it lasts
and
longer
other
or
things.
something
Yeah,
like that.
stuff like that, more powerful and all that kind of stuff. So it's like surprising how good it all works. I guess like the only kind of downside to the unlimited credits is it kind of makes like it removes the decision of whether or not you continue, because it's like, you have unlimited credits, so of course you're going to fucking continue. Like, why wouldn't you?
So you can continue more than once when you buy the unlimited?
Even if you have unlimited credits, like regardless of game mode, regardless of what you pay, you can only ever continue once.
Okay, that's nice.
But I kind of wish that it was like if you get unlimited credits, you get that unlimited play mode as much as you want. But if you want to continue, you still have to like have the potential like timer just to kind of give you, because I don't know, like I'm having a ton of fun with it, but you kind of it's like a gimme at that point,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of like continues anyway, unless it's like a game that's designed around you have a certain amount of lives, and you can continue until your lives are up, and then it's game over or something like that. That's like sort of classic arcade style. Um, and so I could see them doing something like that with this, but where it's like when you always have one continue no matter what, it sort of just makes your first run like who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it gets you in the frame of mind of like, well, I have to hit a certain point on my first life, and if I don't, I'm just going to retry right away or something like that, which I don't like. I don't like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That seems fair. It sort of sounds similar to Alpha Bear, which was like a game that had a limited energy sort of system for when you played games, or you could unlock unlimited energy and play as many games as you wanted. But I remember when I unlocked that at the time, I didn't realize that the power up bears that you use in the game have a cooldown timer. Some of them up to a whole day, and that sort of annoyed me because it was like there was certain bears where I was like, I know I need to get a lot of points in this game to achieve my goal or whatever. So obviously I'm going to use the bears that I have that have like a really high score multiplier or whatever. Um, and so if you use like one and then all of a sudden it's on a day cooldown and then you want to beat another level or something like that, it's sort of like, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of it. And we've talked about this before. I'm not a big fan of just power ups in general.
Yeah.
Sort of like the pureness of arcade games where you don't have like consumable sort of optional power ups before you start a game or whatever. I never really liked those things because then it feels like, well, why don't I use this every time I play for my best chances or whatever? But you can't use them every time you play because there's limited amount or whatever.
Yeah.
So it just sort of becomes this kind of a big annoying thing where it's just like, runners are a good example of they have a lot of stuff like that. Whereas you play like original Cannonball, it's like that's all it is. It's one dude or girl or whatever, but they don't have different abilities. There's no power ups you can get along the way or anything like that. It's just you and running and your reaction times. And it's like pure and nice, and that's it. Um, so I don't know. I felt that way about Alpha Bear, and it sounds like I will feel that way about the sort of power up mode in this,
Yeah.
where I might opt for the unlimited classic-y sort of mode anyway. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough. I was gonna say real quick that it reminds me of there's some games that have like I like getting high scores in games that don't really have like a doubler of anything, like a score
Yeah.
doubler or something like in the game that you can randomly get, because I'll have a run that feels like I had an amazing, like, oh man, I played that so good, and then I'll play the next game and I'll get like three score doubler things, and then like even though I didn't do as well as the first
You have a
as
better
the other
score.
run, I have like a
Yeah.
way better score. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird that
Yeah, I don't
just
like that.
because I got lucky. Temple Run, at least the first one, did that when every time you got an achievement, you get the multiplier and you build that
Right.
up. So like you could actually have a way better run, but then you get like two achievements, and then you do the next run and you run shorter distance, but you have your scores like way more because
Yeah.
your multiplier is higher, which is always kind of weird for me. Like I just want to get to the maximum multiplier so then I can see then I can start chasing a high score or
Yeah.
Same
something.
here. Yeah.
Well, the way
I
the
don't know.
scoring works in this is actually pretty cool because so it's got all the game center stuff. It works a lot like the scoring stuff works a lot like Crossy Road, but your score comes from how long you can continue to eat power pellets without getting any kind of break. So the like if you need to double back or whatever to avoid a ghost, like you just broke your streak of power pellets, so you got to start over from one.
Oh, crazy.
So doing really well involves being able to it involves knowing the ghost behaviors well enough to be able to kind of like plot your course based on where you should go, to not avoid any gaps in power pellets and not run into a ghost. Because like the easiest path, which is usually like straight up the middle and stuff, will have gaps between the power pellets. So like if
Okay.
you want a high score, like you have to be going all sorts of crazy ways and
That's really interesting.
avoiding the ghosts in creative ways and stuff like that, which it's such a good game. It's ridiculous, but I just wish that the continue thing was balanced just slightly differently.
Huh.
Because like I always like games that use continues where it's like oh, I don't even need to do it because that was such a shitty run. Like why bother? But like
Right.
it's cool when it's like, oh my god, like that was my best run ever. Like yeah, I'm gonna spend these coins or whatever to just get a little bit farther, because this is insane.
Or you die on something stupid and you get sort of a mulligan.
Yeah, or something like that. But like just the one gimme, I don't know. That's my only complaint. But so the only other kind of weird free to play thing about this is that you have a power up loadout, and I think you can have 3 or 4 at one time that you can choose from, and there's a bunch more. I think there's like 16 available power ups. Oh yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So there's 16 power ups that you eventually unlock, and then you can upgrade those and whatever, and you choose your favorite 3, and those are the 3 that will spawn in game for you to pick up and stuff. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what strategy comes out, as far as like, if it makes sense to combo together different power-ups, or if there's just ones that are objectively better, or
Right.
anything else. But so the only kind of timer in this game, aside from the lives, and it doesn't seem like you can pay to skip this, is when you upgrade your power-up, there's a timer associated to the upgrade.
Huh.
And it seems to go up each time you upgrade it, and while your power-up is upgrading, you can't use it,
Oh, you can't even use it.
which seems weird.
Huh.
It just seems like an odd choice to just throw in there.
Unnecessary, right?
Yeah, I don't know, but overall, the game is super fun. Like probably I don't know. Like I haven't really liked many of the versions of Pac-Man since the original one. Like even the Pac-Man Championship Edition or whatever that just came out.
You're
like,
crazy.
I don't know. It's just okay, but like this one is.
You're a terrible person.
This is insanely good. So
Your opinion is wrong.
well,
It's true.
there you go. So whenever this comes out, I certainly have no idea when. I would definitely download it for $0, and I don't know. I mean, you don't really even need to buy anything in it. So
Play
There
it
you go.
for
You can if
15,
you want.
20 minutes and then decide. Make
Oh,
a
and of
decision
course
for
you can-
yourself.
you can watch Vungle ads or in-game ads for coins too, to kind of speed up your
That's
coin
not
unlocking.
surprising.
And there's the same Crossy Road style like timer system for a free coin gift and stuff. So
It's interesting to see how, I'm sure the Namco influence on all the power up stuff maybe, and the monetization compared to the Crossy Road guys, which were all about just letting you play.
yeah,
No matter
and
what,
that's
like-
exactly how this kind of is. And what's
So
interesting
you
is
kind of
like
see the influence of Crossy Road with with a little bit of the more of like a big business
yeah,
sense of it, but
it
sounds like it still works. Like
yeah.
still has the charm of a smaller company.
It'll be curious to see how this does on the charts, because there is no kind of unlimited spending potential in the game, which seems very important for like the top grossing list, right? Because like
Yeah.
even it seems stupid to buy individual lives, because it's like, or I guess individual life packs, because it's like if you buy like 1 or 2 of those, like, well, why not just fucking spend $8 and get everything,
Right.
So it's not like you're gonna have a ton of people that are just feeding $1 at a time into the game. And like even if you
know.
wanted to buy coins to get your power ups all sped up and stuff like that, like all you can do is either buy the coin doubler or watch ads. Like there's no way you can buy additional coins or anything. So
That's crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah, I always thought that too, but I forget what it was. I want to say it was Triple Town maybe had like a different tiers of things you could buy to like unlock the premiumness of it or whatever. And I think like the full unlock was something like $6. But I want to say they didn't sell many at that price, and instead they sold like cheaper coin packs or whatever.
Yeah.
In a lot more abundance. So to me, something like $6 for a video game isn't expensive in the first place. But if you're at the point where you want to spend 2 or 3 on coin packs, then yeah, go full blown and get the $6 and never have to worry about it again. But I don't know.
Yeah. So I think what they're banking on here is like, because it's Pac-Man, it's a really good version of Pac-Man, it's going to get featured like crazy. Like there's no way in hell this is not editor's choice whenever it comes out.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It'll rocket up the charts and probably stay glued pretty close to the top of the free charts, at which point like so many people are going to be downloading it that like maybe the people watching ads for coins is going to be pretty significant.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I just hope this does well, because like this is a game that you like look at and you really want it to do really good, because it's like it seems like what everyone's always asking for, which is like taking something that everyone loves and like turning it into a really good mobile game and having monetization that's not gross.
Right.
Because like like you were saying earlier, like this game could have been like so super shitty with the free to play stuff that it's not even funny, and like none of us would have been surprised.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Hopefully it does well, because I would really like to encourage more of exactly what's happening in this game to happen more on the App Store. So yeah,
True that.
that's my thing on Pac-Man 256.
Cool.
So we're running kind of long. Does anyone have any other kind of stuff they want to talk about, or games they want to plug, or
I don't think so.
things they want to repeat that I said, or anything like that?
Eli was right about everything he said for every topic, every game.
We should talk about the Super Hexagon records real quick. If you like Super Hexagon or the music from Super Hexagon, they're producing hexagon-shaped records with the game soundtrack.
I bought one.
Did you?
Yeah.
I was gonna buy one. I don't know. My problem is when I buy shit like this, like I look at this and I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. I have to have one. And then it comes and it just sits in like whatever packaging it came in.
You gotta frame it.
It's like, oh, I know it. That's a Super Hexagon record. All right, cool.
Yeah, I think the thing with this, with me, because I'm the same way, but it ends up in a box somewhere or something. But like with this, I'm like, dude, I can hang that on the wall. It'll be out of the way, and it looks cool.
You guys have so much stuff on your walls already, though. You're running out of wall space, Jared.
No, we're not. We can always find more. So yeah, I don't know. I'll hang it on the wall, and it'll be a conversational piece, as well as a reminder that I like that game. And I like the soundtrack.
I always think it's so funny with calling something a conversation piece. Is always such a zany rationalization to buy something.
I know.
Because like
I bought it so someone will ask me about it.
Yeah,
is basically what you're saying.
What the hell is that thing?
Oh well, let me tell you about this crazy record.
Long ago, I used to play a game on my phone. Was it free? No, it was 99 cents.
Oh no, no thanks.
The end of conversation.
I don't even care.
There's hexagon. I googled hexagon frames, and there's a lot of hexagon frames.
No way.
You could display it in.
Well, you could do that.
Blow
too.
people's minds.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't talk shit, because like I'm looking at the Sword and Sorcery album that's framed on my wall right now. So.
There you go.
So whatever.
There you go. I wish I had that.
I have the album and the cassette tape they put out.
What?
Oh, cassette tape too. Wow.
Yeah, it was real expensive. I don't know why I bought it.
Because
I was having one of those days where I was like, I think it was like $25 or $30 shipped, and I was like, $30 for a cassette tape? Why? How could I say no? So yeah. I guess other quick news: Fallout Shelter is finally available for Android. So if you, I guess, listen to this podcast and your primary device is an Android device, you should check it out because it's real fun.
Yeah.
I guess those are like two kind of real big stories that seem worth mentioning.
You don't want to talk about Full House?
What is that all about?
Okay, well I haven't posted it yet, but by the time our podcast goes up, so the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, are doing like a Full House night or whatever.
When you say Full House, you're talking like Bob Saget, Dave Coulier, Full House, Full House.
Yes.
Okay.
I just watched the promo commercial earlier today.
Yes. So they're having like a Full House night, which, baseball games do wacky promotional nights and stuff like that. So this is a Full House night at the end of September, and the giveaway is like this little snow globe with the houses from the beginning of the show inside the snow globe. Or whatever. And so, yeah, pretty cool. So anyway, the Giants players made like a promotional video to go along with this. And like the Giants, I don't think it's exclusive to the Giants. I think it's a lot of teams, because I've seen other teams have really funny commercials and stuff like that. But like the production teams that put together like the little commercials or promo videos or whatever, they're all like always funny and really like good quality and stuff like that. And so they put together one for this Full House night, and they called it Full Clubhouse. And it's basically they recreated the beginning of the Full House TV show with different Giants players doing funny things, and it's really funny.
What does this have to do with anything, though?
So what this has to do with anything is near the end, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the video, near the end, the actual Joey from Full House, Dave Coulier, is in the video in a Giants jacket, and he makes a joke about like, oh, we've seen this before or something, and then he does the cut this out gag. And but the weird thing about it is that he's watching the video on an iPad mini that's in the game Vice. And if you remember the Game Vice, it was the
Oh.
controller for specifically for iPad minis that is like you like slide it apart and your iPad mini goes in the middle and it kind of harnesses it on each side with like one side with the D-pad and analog stick and the other side with a bunch of buttons, and it has like full triggers and it almost makes it look like a Wii U gamepad. That's the Game Vice, and that thing is out now. It came out like a few weeks ago to
That is
actually
the
buy.
zaniest product placement.
Dude, that's
Possible.
what I said. So I'm like watching this video because I'm a Giants fan and I thought their videos are funny and I'm like, this is gonna be good. And it was. I laughed my ass off. But then it gets to that part and I'm like, that was a Game Vice. Like I'm pausing it, going like, what? Why is he watching a video with a controller attached? And I'm just like, all these things are going through my head. And so yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. There's a Game Vice in this promotional video for the Giants, and it's not even anything to do with games. So yeah. Anyway,
All right. Well, I guess that was a cool story.
we'll be on TouchArcade in a matter of minutes. So
I can hardly
I'm
wait
sure
for
you're,
that.
I'm sure you're
amazing-
anxious.
Amazing
See
story.
full
But no, it got me
clubhouse.
thinking though, because I was like, okay, is that Joey from Full House's actual iPad and Game Vice? Is that his, or was it something that was like a prop on the production stage or something like that? Of them
Oh, someone
filming
just had one?
commercial? Yeah, did someone just have one or something like that? But if it is Joey from Full House's and he has a Game Vice, then he probably plays games. And then is it possible that he reads TouchArcade? Like, does Joey from Full House read TouchArcade?
Maybe he's listening to his podcast. Maybe he's Biff
Maybe.
from the beginning of the podcast
Maybe
that
he's
lets us
Biff
son of a
one-star
bitch.
Oh, He's eating his own boogers. Listening
He
to our
did say, "Cut it out, guys." No, he didn't say that. That would have been amazing.
So yeah, that's
Wow.
that's my Full House story.
The video game connection to Full House. Jared finally made it.
There
Finally
was a
made that
video game
connection.
connection. Yeah, so it's not. I didn't just make this up.
Well, my life's complete now.
How's your bee sting?
It's hurting, but I think I'm still alive. I think if I was allergic to bees, I'd be dead by now.
Probably.
Um,
You'd be all puffed up.
yeah, I'm still okay. It just looks kind of gnarly, but
So far,
that's okay. Oh, on the topic of things that have absolutely nothing to do with games, like
Okay.
Full House,
I like this topic.
I finished 2 books in the last week.
Oh, good job.
I read The Martian, which is coming soon as a movie.
And
And-
Wool.
I read Wool, yeah.
I,
Two-
I follow you on Twitter.
2 really, really good books. Like, I don't know. I'm not big into the book recommendation scene, I guess, but man, The Martian is incredible. That might be the best book I've read in a really long time.
Are you mad that they're making a movie?
No, I'm curious about the movie because The Martian, I guess, Cliff Notes without spoiling anything. Basically, a dude gets stranded on Mars.
Is it Matt Damon?
Do they have
yes.
to science the shit out of something?
Yes.
that-
Well, so like that's
That's
what's
The
interesting. So Ridley Scott is directing the movie, and that's the same guy as like Prometheus and the Alien series and stuff like that. And typically his movies are kind of like I don't know, like a dark kind of bleak sci-fi sort of universe, right?
Like G.I. Jane. Yeah.
Well, right.
I was just looking at his list of
Exactly.
movies. I tried to pick the most opposite from all his movies. It's like Thelma and Louise,
But like the
G.I. Jane.
The Martian, the
sci-fi
book,
Thelma and Louise.
like
Yeah.
the Martian, the book is like almost kind of like silly, which like
Huh.
I just don't kind of know how. Like I'm fascinated to see how it translates, I guess,
Okay.
because it does not seem like something that Ridley Scott would kind of do with his style of sci-fi movies, I guess.
Okay.
It'll probably be something like an Apollo 13 meets Thelma and Louise meets G.I. Jane.
Wow.
He didn't do Apollo 13, but I just threw that in there.
But what's
It's
cool
like
about The
they're
Martian, though,
stranded.
so reading about the history of this book, it's kind of like loops into the App Store in a weird way because it got popular because it was among the kind of first push, well, maybe not necessarily first, but like the push of Kindle ebooks. Like ever since Amazon has made it so easy for people to just, like authors should just throw up an ebook and sell it for money. Like that's kind of where this book came from. Just some dude that just like wrote the story and threw it up on Amazon, and then it just exploded.
Who would have thought that easy to access books would be bought by people?
Well, that's the same case with Wool too.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. It makes me want to like read way more of these kind of other self-published authors, I guess.
Well,
Mike
is there-
Jeepus bought or read Wool. I think he saw the conversation about Wool when you asked for recommendations, and
Is he the guy that does all the work to make your games?
oh, he does everything. I just sit around and
I'm not even really sure what you do.
Yeah.
So, is there a similar, because of that, like discoverability problem with indie books?
I would assume so. Like I don't know, that's once I started reading all that shit, I was like, man, this is fascinating that these guys are kind of going through a similar sort of renaissance with kind of like book publishing as app publishers kind of saw.
It's true, because it used to be, if you wanted a video game made, you had to work for the right people and have a publishing deal and have a big company with a lot of money and go through all the hoops and stuff like that. And nowadays it's like, hey, I have a game idea. I can make a game. I can put it out there for the world to buy.
Yeah.
I would say books were similar. You had to get a publishing deal after you did all the work and wrote the book.
Yeah. So, I mean, like that's kind of exactly what, like you guys remember Dan Bliss from our parties. Like that was, and I think his Mike, you know his studio name is like Angry Robot or something Robot.
I have his card here somewhere.
I don't know. Dan Bliss, look him up. Anyway, cool guy, but like his whole thing was that exactly that, like he is a like tried and true indie developer that just wanted to make games, and he's been old school enough that he got all the pushback from like the old school console world and the old school like cell phone world and stuff like that, and this has just been kind of like a an awakening for him, I guess, in some point, that he can just release stuff on the App Store. So I don't know, it's awesome. Digital distribution is really neat.
Yeah,
I guess, and especially I guess in the book world, because you read stories about like the origins of Harry Potter and stuff like that, and how hard it is to get even a really good book series like published through a publisher and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of it's so cool that we're in a time where it's like, all right, well, fuck it, here's my book,
Yeah.
Buy
50 Shades of
I don't
Grey.
remember if The Martian or Wool sold for $1 originally, one or the other, like, or maybe even both of them, which is just crazy to think, where it's like this is two absolutely amazing books that I would recommend to almost anyone that likes sci-fi, that you can just could just buy for $1 because no one knows who the author is and no one cares.
Yeah.
And now like so Ridley Scott is making The Martian, and someone told me that Wool also got sold off to someone else to make a movie, but I don't know if it's happening yet.
Huh.
So I don't know, it's just really
Pretty
cool.
cool.
I guess if you're into reading, definitely check out those two books. The Martian is only like 400 pages, 500 pages. So I read it in a weekend. It was really fast. So yeah, I don't know. I guess that's our off-topic topic of the week. Kind of.
Man, I'm really bummed out that the last two things you mentioned, you said had nothing to do with mobile or gaming or anything.
And then we were able to loop them in.
Found a way to make connections.
So, all right.
Very disappointed.
On Wikipedia, they mentioned that the film rights to I guess it's the Silo series.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It says director Ridley Scott and Steve Zalian have expressed interest in the film adaptation on Wikipedia.
That would be cool.
Ridley Scott is everywhere.
Well, cool.
Son
Good
of a-
for him. I mean, I like his
That's
movies,
the
so
indie books.
we'll see. But anyway, yeah, I guess that's our podcast for this week. And if I really dig the amount of emails that we're getting in, like discussion topic suggestions and stuff like that. I think it's making the podcast way better. So if you have any similar kind of suggestions or questions or anything like that you'd like to hear us
Criticisms?
talk about, criticisms or questions, complaints, hopefully no complaints. But anyway, it's just podcast at toucharcade.com. We read them all, and almost all of them on the air.
Direct all complaints to @WondrousHippo on Twitter.
Oh God,
That's correct.
Carter.
You
So anyway,
son of a-
thanks for listening, everyone, and we will catch you next week. Cool. Thanks, Mob Crush people, and thanks YouTube people, I guess.
Thank you, everyone.
we'll be streaming again next week. So hope you guys like the show.